The 25th anniversary of The Phantom Menace is upon us this year, and we are all pretty certain that there are going to be some characters introduced to Galaxy of Heroes that relate to that rather wonderful start of the prequel era. Let's have a little think about what we could be seeing and what I think is actually going to come. So just so you know that I'm not exactly clutching at straws here, there has been some information data mined by the wonderful people on swiggerevents.gg. Make sure you do give them a follow and join their Discord server, because it is often full of very engaging chat, cool data mines, and even a dev or two does hang around there. So let's take a look at this. Just yesterday, or a couple of days ago, apologies, there was some additional character bundles that have been data mined within the store. Now, character bundles, if you don't know, are actually essentially bundles that are related to new marquee releases. So character bundle 60 over here is basically foretelling that sometime in the near future, usually in 2 to 3 weeks, maybe even less, we should be getting a brand new character added to the game, and there is a bundle that goes with it. So that's like the $29.99 bundles where you can buy 30 shards and you get 5 Omicrons and all that sort of business, or potentially it could be just the character shards that you can buy for crystals, for example. There are a couple of other things here. We've got Sith Ambition Bundle, Separatist Droid Bundle, and the Grand Army Bundle. Now, all of this points to prequels content. Now, I would like to think that in this instance that they're talking specifically around Phantom Menace content, because it would be highly irregular of CG not to push out some content that relates to the Phantom Menace with the 25th anniversary coming up in May 19 of this year. What could those character bundles be about? I'd like to think in this instance it's probably nothing new. This is most likely going to be some mild Lightspeed-esque bundles, probably not in the vicinity of that value, but characters such as Dooku, characters such as Sidious, for example. Separatist droids might have things like B1, B2, it might have things like Droidica, that sort of thing within the pack. And the Grand Army bundle relates to the Grand Army of the Republic, or the clones. Now, I don't think this necessarily directly relates to the Phantom Menace. I don't think that this is specifically foretelling additional content for that era. I think it's more of a thematic thing that fits in with the rest of the theme that we are probably going to see this year. Now, we also have down here Chase Bundle number 9, and if you cast your minds back to about this time last year, we did have a Galactic Chase. Those of you that don't know what Galactic Chases are, they are essentially short-term additive drops that introduce a brand new ship to the game, usually to a specific energy type or node. Last year, we had the phenomenal TIE Defender that completely upset the meta. Brilliant ship for Iden and totally worth getting at 7 stars. Now, if these Galactic Chase bundles are related to a new Galactic Chase that's coming soon, it would imply we're getting a new ship soon. And I would most likely want to think that it's going to have some sort of thematic benefit towards that era of the Phantom Menace, the prequels era. Who do I think it's going to be? Well, there's a couple of things it can be. When it comes to the character bundle, it really could be pretty much anyone. I would like to think that they're going to throw in something from the Phantom Menace. I know it's been theorized that potentially we could get Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think that is entirely likely. I think that there are other characters that it could be. For example, we could be getting additional characters for Padme's team to get a little bit of a resurgence. She could actually be getting some of her personal bodyguards, for example. We had General Panaka, for example, within the Phantom Menace, and I think he was replaced then by Captain Typho within the Clone Wars. Potentially we could get either or both of these characters, or even potentially some of the handmaidens for Padme herself. This could tie in to a new Galactic Legend or legendary release of Queen Amidala that we see in the Phantom Menace. This is all clearly just speculation at this point, and more importantly, I do think that the next Galactic Legend is most likely going to be a dark side character, and if that's the case, there aren't many choices I feel that could stem from the Phantom Menace. I don't think it's likely that we get ourselves another Darth Maul, for example. I think that we could potentially get a Chancellor or Sheev Palpatine, but again, we already have a Palpatine Legendary and a Palpatine Galactic Legend within the game at this point, so I think it's unlikely. So it is a bit of a head scratcher. I'm not entirely sure what the character releases are going to be for the game. We do know that CG has got very specific kit releases or a very specific release schedule for the year. Generally speaking, we will get one capital ship, we will get one Galactic Legend, we'll get one raid, we'll get one legacy event, like the Bo-Katan event that just dropped, and we will have a couple of Galactic Chases sprinkled in there, and of course the Conquest characters that we get. We know that the current Conquest is going to be Darth Bane, and then it's going to shift to a light side. Are all these going to feed into a new Galactic Republic capital ship, for example? Because we do need a new capital ship this year. It's most likely going to be light side. It could feed into a new light side Galactic Republic ship to fit in with the Phantom Menace. Again, I don't think it's likely because we already have the Endurance and the Negotiator, which kind of brings me back to this Galactic Chase that is highlighted here. What if, instead of having a new capital ship this year, we instead get a very powerful ship itself that elevates an existing capital ship? They released earlier in 2023 the Marauder, which is an absolutely phenomenal ship that was designed to elevate the Endurance capital ship to viability. Unfortunately, and I said it at the time when it came out and when it was released, that it just looks like people will instead throw this in with the Negotiator rather than the Endurance, because the Endurance fleet is just not that great. So what if we actually, instead of getting a new capital ship, we get a powerful new ship or ships that elevate the Endurance fleet to meta-worthy standards, and it would not be farmed like a legendary character, but instead be farmed like a fleet mastery ship where you would have to refresh the event once a month. Instead of a capital ship, it's just a very powerful individual ship that would probably have very specific synergy with the Endurance. What if we got Padme's personal ship, the Naboo Royal Starship? This thing is known to not have any sort of weaponry on it, so it would have to be a support ship, but it could have very specific synergy and give very powerful buffs to its Galactic Republic allies. Obviously, there would have to be, again, specific synergies that call out to just being used with the Endurance, and then we could have a clear segregation between a Negotiator fleet and an Endurance fleet. They could also introduce things such as the Naboo N1 Starfighter, which is an absolute iconic ship. And by the way, CG, while we're on the subject, could we potentially perhaps get Din Djarin's N1 Starfighter that he's been adapted to use in the latest season of The Mandalorian? I very much like that ship, it's cool. I know that this is largely speculative at this point, but I think we have to think a little bit broader this year, just because of the restrictions around what is actually the subject matter for the year, which is likely to be the Phantom Menace anniversary. I know it is far more likely that we are going to get a capital ship rather than a very powerful ship itself, but my only bone of contention with that is CG tends to form very familiar patterns when it releases these things, right? And if you take a look at the previous meta capital ship that they released, it was the Leviathan, which is a dark side capital ship. Typically, they release one dark side, one light side, one dark side, one light side, meaning the next capital ship is most likely going to be light side, and I just don't see them bringing out a third Galactic Republic light side capital ship. We've already got the Endurance, we've already got the Negotiator, and they've already brought out the Marauder as a lifter unit, supposedly for the Endurance. I can't see them bringing out another Galactic Republic one. I know other people have been talking about Admiral Trench getting his capital ship, talking about the Invisible Hand, I believe it's called. And that makes complete sense to me, it absolutely could be. It would just be a breakaway from the normal release schedules that CG does. They could release a Darkside capital ship after having a previous Darkside capital ship. I don't really see a problem with that. And I don't actually see a problem with them splitting the Separatist fleets off into two separate portions, one for the Malevolence and the other for Trench. They would just need to bring out some additional ships to support it. And that's where it all starts to get a little bit fuzzy to me, because Galactic Chases for ships that do get released usually are in support of new fleet metas, and I know that CG have said that the next Conquest unit is going to be a light side unit. They didn't say whether it was going to be a character or a ship, so the ship could again be additional light side Galactic Republic fleet support. We just don't know yet, and this is where it confuses me. I can't see Admiral Trench's capital ship coming to the game just yet, unless they do another double release of capital ships like they did with the Malevolence and the Negotiator. Interesting. One final thing I do want to touch on is I do think we are going to see an additional expansion to Territory Battles. I expect us to see a Mandalorian planet released, in line with the new Bo-Katan coming out, special missions there, potentially, hopefully, fingers crossed, we get a special mission on this new Mandalorian planet that lets us unlock a valuable, high-powerful character like Reva. Who that character might be, I don't know just yet. Feel free to let me know what you think it might be in the comments section down below. We can also see down here we've got character bundles 2 and 3. It's the same number, so they're probably different versions of the same character bundle. Now, of course, these are data mines. They are entirely speculative and not to be taken without the largest pinch of salt. But I do think that CG is back in the office now, and we are likely to see these new releases. But truth be told, ladies and gentlemen, I would actually like to get your opinion. What do you think is coming? And more importantly, what would you like to see come to the game? Personally, I would like them to really touch up and revisit the Territory War game mode because it is in dire need of overhaul. It hasn't been touched since inception, more or less, and I think everybody is bored with it. CG is probably aware. They've probably got all the metrics around how this game mode is engaged in, and they probably want to shift it up. Again, I don't want to bring up old rumours, but there have been rumours that the crystals are going to be removed from Fleet Arena, and most likely where they're going to be placed is Territory Wars. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some sort of ladder and division system very similar to GAC applied to Territory Wars. But if they do that, they do need to update the way that Territory War matches are undertaken and strategized, to be a little bit more friendly to guilds in multiple time zones, so that everybody can engage at their own pace. Let me know your thoughts down below, and until the next video, peace out, and may the Force be with you.